From the Detroit Free Press, in the heart of the Motor City, it's Monday, June 22nd. Here are today's top stories.
Brought to you by JB's Smokehouse, located inside Bush's Fresh Food Market of Canton. JB's offers a range of authentic barbecue favorites, from beef brisket and mac and cheese to fried green tomatoes and pulled pork tacos. JB's is sure to become your new favorite barbecue spot.
Remember these who have lost their lives at COVID-19.
For the Detroit Free Press, I'm Kerry Jr. II.
People have taken this thing for granted. People have forgotten that this thing is real.
Thursday on Detroit's east side, a few dozen people attended a vigil to commemorate nursing home residents and staff members who died from COVID-19. SEIU Healthcare Michigan organized the event. There were 1,900 flags sprawled across the grass, and that doesn't account for every staff member and resident that passed from the disease. The most recent state data reports 1,998 residents and 24 staff members have died.
I'll tell you a little bit of my story. When I came home from work on a Saturday morning and felt very weak, and I basically slept all weekend other than making some meals for my wife and that.
Don Hill is a nurse at the Warren Woods Health and Rehabilitation Center in Warren.
And on Monday morning, I had a virtual doctor's appointment. He says, you got signs and symptoms of COVID-19, and the signs and symptoms I had weren't on the list yet.
He believes he brought the virus home and his wife contracted it.
I always feared that if she got it, that she probably wouldn't make it. My fears came true.
His 65-year-old wife, Nancy Hill, died on April 24th.
But I know one thing. She's in a whole lot better place than we are right now.
The group also held a moment of silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds to honor the lives lost in nursing homes and George Floyd. Floyd died in May after a police officer knelt on his neck for that amount of time.
You got to remind yourself that COVID-19 is no different than the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that George Floyd had with an officer on his neck.
The executive vice president of SEIU Healthcare said Thursday's plans were to pay respect to those lost, but also hold government officials accountable. Some of their demands include proper PPE, free weekly COVID-19 testing, and union representation for employees. The VP says their organization is planning to hold 2 employee strikes in July to continue pushing for accountability. The state health department reports 146 new cases and 3 new deaths. There are now over 61,000 cases of the novel coronavirus in Michigan. 5,800 people in total have died from the disease. Millions of dollars from the CARES Act will be available for small businesses in July. Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties will each receive money to distribute to tri-county businesses. This after the funds from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation were exhausted at the beginning of the pandemic. When the counties received funds from the MEDC, it wasn't enough. The limited funds were given out to only a portion of the businesses that needed it, and the distribution process was plagued with delays. This time around, county officials say they're learning from past mistakes. Businesses could potentially shutter while waiting to get assistance, so they're working hard to distribute the money quickly. All 3 counties and the city of Detroit have more information on their respective websites on how to apply. That's the latest. For more information on COVID-19 in Michigan, visit www.freep.com.
I'm Susan Tompor, and I'm a columnist with the Detroit Free Press. The current recession has driven many companies to cut jobs and, in some cases, even benefits. Some, such as La-Z-Boy and Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, even froze or reduced their matching 401k contributions to get through the tough times. Should you stop saving in a 401k if there is no match? Well, you may have little choice but to save even less, especially if you are working fewer hours or your pay has been cut. Or in some cases, you may decide that you may need to dedicate more savings to paying down your credit card debt instead of retirement. Otherwise, experts say it's wise to boost your retirement savings on your own if your company match has suddenly disappeared in the recession of 2020.
This is Marlo Alter with the Detroit Free Press Sports Department. We are 10 days away from professional golf in Detroit. The 2020 Rocket Mortgage Classic will be played July 2nd through the 5th at the Detroit Golf Club without fans due to the coronavirus pandemic. Still, there are plenty of fascinating storylines to watch. After a successful inaugural event last June won by Nate Lashley, the last man in the field to qualify. Here's what to watch this year. What will the field look like? Dustin Johnson was the only top 10 player in the world who showed up a year ago. Sure, there were some other big names such as Ricky Fowler and Bubba Watson, but there were many more notable omissions including Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, and Phil Mickelson. Woods has yet to play in the Tour's restart and won't be in this week's field in Connecticut. It seems unlikely he would make a visit to Detroit, despite his success in Michigan at the Buick Open a decade ago. The 44-year-old likes to play familiar courses, and there's one right after the Tour's visit to Detroit in Dublin, Ohio. Last year's setup was way too easy. There were 1,895 birdies and 40 eagles, and RMC's 5-under par cut line was the lowest mark on tour since 2016. The Detroit Golf Club, a Donald Ross design, is expected to grow longer rough in the range of 5 to 6 inches this year. Will the coronavirus affect the tournament? Nick Watney on Friday became the first PGA Tour player to test positive for COVID-19 at the RBC Heritage in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Having no fans is a huge bummer for all involved, particularly Michiganders, but this still will be great theater on television during July 4th weekend.
For more stories from the Detroit Free Press, be sure to check out freep.com. That's FREEP.com. If you're a fan and want to support our quality local journalism, subscribe. Go to freep.com/special offer.